In this video, I show you how I started using a surf skate to help me in my surfing progression. This is my first surf skate, a Loaded Carver Bolsa Surfskate with CX trucks. I want to give a shout out and a thank you to my wife and daughter who gave this to me for my birthday. A surf skate looks like a large skateboard with longboard wheels and flexible trucks that allow you to turn more and mimic the feel of a surfboard. I am wearing protective gear, and I first warm up by starting on the board by kicking off with my back foot, balancing on the board, and then stopping the board by dragging my back foot. I found an empty parking lot to practice in, and I put 3 markers to form an upside down triangle to practice my bottom turn and my top turn. I'm using 3 fishing hats as my markers. Check out my fishing playlist, by the way. I'm first practicing the front side turns and then practicing the back side turns. For the first marker, I kick off and head down the imaginary wave, pretending that I'm riding a surfboard. I try to compress my knees when I enter the turn by bending them and crouching low. I then turn my gaze to the right, and I reach out with my right hand towards the second marker as a pivot point. As I turn, my gaze starts to look at the third marker on top of the wave. As my turn accelerates and I hit the area near the top marker, I then try to top turn by rotating my gaze and my upper body to look back at the bottom marker. I'm also extending and compressing a little bit during the top turn rotation. It feels like I'm unwinding my crouch and rotating like this. I imagine that I'm doing this on a wave and rotating my head to look back down to the beach or back 180 degrees to the whitewater. The backside bottom turn is similar to the front side bottom turn. Instead of reaching with my right hand to the pivot point, I'm reaching out with my left forward arm. I'm also trying to make sure that I'm in a front-on stance rather than a side-on stance, which allows my body to turn and face forward more. The front-on stance really helps with turning in either direction, but it really helps with the backside turn. To look at the third marker on top of the wave, I really need to remember to look over my left shoulder to see the top of the wave. If you have any tips or constructive criticisms, please leave them in the comments below. I'm a beginner and I'd love to hear from you. This is what I'm trying to do. The surf skate has really helped me with my surfing. Here are a few waves that I caught the very next day after this surf skating practice session. Hurricane Ida, it was a terrible hurricane, but it brought some waves to the Boston area on September 2, 2021. For each of these waves, I'm trying to do at least 1 bottom turn and 1 top turn using the same concepts that I practice on the surf skate. For the bottom turns, I'm trying to crouch low and compress into the turn, then reach out towards the pivot point. I make sure that my gaze is to the right, better if it's down the line or towards the top of the wave. In this footage, I noticed that my gaze is still more forward and often looking down at my board, especially during takeoff. I'll try to make sure that my gaze is more focused on top of the wave next time, and try to avoid looking down at the board, as that will cause me to force me to go down the wave or even nosedive. For the top turn, I'm working on simply turning in the opposite direction. I don't know if it's appropriate to call this a top turn, but because my waves are small and I'm still a beginner, but I love connecting 2 waves together on each run, and I'm thinking of them as a bottom turn and a top turn. That works for me. As I complete my bottom turn, I start to extend and rotate my head, shoulders, arms, and body to look back towards the beach, or better yet, towards the whitewater. I try to make sure that I shuffle back a little bit or lean back on my board to prevent nosediving. I've been surfing for about 8 months now, and I'm still a beginner, but this is how I used the surf skateboard to help with my surfing progression. I love it because it allows me to practice things like stance, turns, compressions, and extensions. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click like, comment, or subscribe. If you surf or have any tips or constructive criticism, I'm a beginner, and I'd appreciate any tips for surf skating or surfing in the comments below. Thanks!